Welcome back, everybody. For our last block, we are excited to bring in Patrick Hedger. He's the Executive Director of Taxpayer Protection Alliance. Patrick, great to see you. Great to have you on.
Hey, thank you for having me.
We are happy to have you on. So I just paid my tax bill from 2021. I think that I Ralphed a little. So obviously money is tight for a lot of Americans. You've got inflation issues, as we were talking about with our last guest, supply chain issues, which was supply and demand. It increases the prices of everything. But what's the biggest economic issue that's pressing on Americans right now?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's inflation. We've done some polling recently at Taxpayer Protection Alliance, and I've seen other polling that's come out. And, on a lot of different issues, people are doing polling, and the number one issue that keeps coming up is inflation. So people are trying to take the temperature on other issues, be it tech policy or what have you. And Americans are overwhelmingly responding that they want Congress to be focusing on inflation. I mean, it's outstripping every other major issue that we are seeing in the news cycle right now, from what's happening at the Supreme Court, again, to tech policy, things like that. That's all Americans can think about, because there's a reminder of it on every single corner of every single block in most major cities. You drive past a gas station and you see the prices continuing to rise. It's a constant reminder in Americans' day-to-day lives of the impact of really reckless fiscal policy in Washington.
Yeah, it really is. One of the great things I love about your group, you find some of these laws and regulations that other people don't know about. They sound inconspicuous, and then you find out, oh my God, they haven't a real thing. You found one of them recently. You guys sent a letter urging Congress to oppose the Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act. What's really behind this law?
Yeah, so it is a thinly veiled attempt to institute price controls. This is a bill that the Democrats, some of the most progressive Democrats, have pushed to essentially give the president and some regulatory agencies authority to cap gasoline prices. But that is the fastest way for us to repeat the 1970s, because for as expensive as gas is now, it's available, right? We don't have shortages of gasoline. The way to create a shortage is by putting a price control in place that encourages people to overconsume and discourages production. That's how we got the situation in the 1970s with the gas lines, is because they capped gas prices in order to try and combat rampant inflation. It's just history repeating itself in such an unfortunate, kind of shameless way. No economist worth their weight in salt will tell you that this is a good idea. It's a pure distraction from the fact that the Biden administration has been canceling oil and gas leases, has been antagonizing the industry since day one with canceling the Keystone XL pipeline, and that Washington has been printing and spending money with reckless abandon that's inflating the currency.
Yeah. And we have so many issues on our American soil. Obviously, the economic issues related to inflation, gas prices, even other resources, electricity prices are going through the roof. And yet, Nancy Pelosi purchased Peloton memberships for all of the Hill staffers. We've got so much going wrong in our country. The American people could really, really use some help. And this is where she's allocating money?
Yeah, it's really concerning. There is an argument to be made that congressional offices have a hard time attracting talent because of the pay scales. And there's an argument to be made there. But when you have companies coming in, specific name brand companies that are granting these kind of perks and privileges, that starts to raise some real questions about potential for corruption and things like that. If we're going to try and get better talent into working for members of Congress, let's stop with the gimmicks and limit the ability for companies to come in and kind of put their finger on the scale and say, hey, look at me. I'm a great company. Don't regulate me or don't tax me in an unfair way. That introduces a lot of potential, again, for cronyism, corruption, and things like that. Definitely concerned about that, even if it is, I guess, nominally legal.
Yeah, it's amazing. They also threw in a liquor store for good thing. I'm not sure drinking and exercising at the same time is a good idea, but what do I know?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I figured you would. See, I knew it. All right, we got about a minute left. Patrick, I want to ask you this question. The baby formula shortage is a crisis, of course. It's hurting parents, but it's really also a story about placing your faith in big government, which is what Joe Biden did. The FDA dropped the ball time and again. How do we get Americans to realize bigger isn't better when it comes to government?
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. You know, we all learn as kids, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Yet we do that time and again with trade barriers, with regulatory barriers that make it almost impossible to bring goods to market. Even if you want to produce those goods here in the United States, the regulatory barriers are so high that it becomes prohibitive to do so. And then you get members of Congress that turn around and pretend like it's the failure of the free market that's caused the concentration in these different industries like baby formula. But the reality is it was a massive trade barrier that was put in place to protect U.S. producers. And then those U.S. producers were heavily regulated by the FDA to the point that only some of the biggest could comply, and that reduced the number of producers. So when something went wrong at one of the main production plants, we were left without answers and left without the ability to actually import safe baby formula from overseas. It's totally ridiculous. It's failure of government of every level. But of course, the free market takes it on the chin because nobody's willing to take the blame in government for what they've done.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling the next president is going to have a mandate to shrink the size of this government. I think Americans are about ready for it. Patrick Hedger, it is always an honor to have you on, and thank you for the important work that Taxpayers Protection Alliance does for all of us taxpayers. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, good to have you on. Amanda, what do you think? What a day, huh? Hey, I found out that Joe Biden's half of his Twitter users aren't real. What do you think of that?
I think that is. I don't think that's the right number. I think that way fewer are actually real, and the whole 5% are bots thing. I think 5% are real.
Here's the real question. Were all those 80 million voters real? I guess we'll have to find that for another day of the show. We'll find that out. All right, folks.
I think we already know that.
Yeah, I think some people do. All right, folks, it's time to wrap up another show. Thank you for joining us. It's always an honor to be with you. Amanda and I appreciate your support. Have a great night, and may God bless you. We'll be back tomorrow with another great show.